You wake up and something feels off. Not wrong exactly, just activated, like a signal you can't quite tune. And the first thing your mind does is grab it and start asking questions. Is this a sign? Is this my gut trying to tell me something? Or am I just spiraling again? After awakening, that question doesn't get easier. It gets louder. Because now you're more sensitive, more tuned in. You feel things before they happen. You notice patterns other people walk right past, and sometimes a feeling lands in your chest so clearly it almost has a voice. But anxiety does that too. And when you can't tell the difference, when every tightness in your stomach feels like a cosmic warning, when every coincidence feels like a message, when every quiet moment suddenly fills with dread, you stop trusting yourself entirely. That's where a lot of people end up after awakening. Not more connected, more confused, more exhausted from trying to decode every single thing their body does. Because here's what nobody tells you before your world cracks open. Awakening doesn't just expand your awareness. It also expands your sensitivity to threat. Your nervous system, which was already working overtime, now has more signal coming in than it ever had before. More texture, more information, more feeling, and a nervous system that's never been taught to sort signal from noise. It treats everything like an emergency. So you start second-guessing every gut feeling. You can't tell if the dread in your chest is a genuine warning or just last night catching up with you. You don't know if the pull you feel towards something is real guidance or just wishful thinking dressed up in spiritual language. You stop trusting yourself. And when you stop trusting yourself, you either start chasing signs everywhere, or you shut the whole channel down and go numb. Neither of those is the answer. So let's actually slow this down. Here's what most people don't say about intuition. It's not dramatic. We've been sold this image, a lightning bolt of clarity, a voice from nowhere, a sign that arrives like punctuation at the end of a sentence. And sometimes, yes, it does arrive that way, but most of the time, real guidance is quieter than you think it should be. It's more like a compass needle settling, not spinning, settling. It points in a direction and it stays there. It doesn't scream at you. It doesn't chase you down the hallway of your mind at 2 a.m. Anxiety does that. Anxiety is a siren. Loud, urgent, moving fast. And if you don't act right now, something terrible will happen. That urgency is the tell. Think about the last time you had a genuine knowing about something, a decision that just landed. Maybe you knew a friendship had run its course, or that you needed to leave somewhere, or that something was about to shift. How did it feel? Probably not comfortable. Real guidance isn't always comfortable, but there's a quality to it, a kind of stillness underneath whatever the feeling is, a clarity that doesn't need you to panic. It can wait for you to breathe. Anxiety can't wait. That's almost the definition of it. The confusion comes because both of them live in the body. Both of them create sensation. Both of them can arrive without warning. So the question isn't, do I feel something? The question is, what is the quality of what I'm feeling? And to answer that question, you need a gap, even a small one. Now, the tricky part, and this is what makes post-awakening discernment so hard, your nervous system doesn't care which one it is. It responds the same way to both. Heart rate up, chest tight, thoughts looping, body on alert. So trying to tell the difference while you're in the middle of the activation, almost impossible. You need to create a small gap first. I call it the 90-second pause. When something arrives, a feeling, a fear, a sudden certainty about something, don't decide, don't interpret, don't act. Just pause for 90 seconds. Exhale slowly. Soften your eyes. Let your shoulders drop even a little. You're not suppressing anything. You're not pushing the feeling away. You're just letting the nervous system come down from the spike enough that you can actually hear what's underneath it. Because here's what happens. Anxiety stays loud. If you wait 90 seconds and the urgency is still screaming at the same volume, still looping the same thoughts, still insisting you act immediately, that's probably anxiety. That's activation looking for a release valve. But if you wait 90 seconds and something quieter is still there under the noise, something that doesn't need you to panic, something that just holds its position, that's worth listening to. You're not making the feeling wrong. You're not dismissing it. You're just refusing to make decisions from inside the storm. Because nothing you decide in the middle of a spike is going to be your clearest thinking, and you deserve your clearest thinking. The second tool is the 3-point check. When you still can't tell signal from siren after the pause, look at 3 things. Speed. How fast is it moving? Intuition is usually calm. It doesn't rush you. It doesn't have a countdown attached to it. Anxiety is urgent. It has a "you have to do this now or else" quality, even when there is no actual deadline. If you're feeling pressured to act immediately and you can't point to a real-world reason why, slow down, not speed up. Quality. What is the texture of the feeling? Intuition tends to feel steady and clear, even when the message itself is uncomfortable. It can feel sad or sobering or serious, but underneath that, there's a kind of groundedness. Anxiety tends to feel repetitive and circular. It loops, it escalates, it raises the stakes every time you engage with it, like a fire alarm that keeps going off even after you've walked every room and found nothing burning. Aftermath. This one is the most reliable, and it's the one most people skip. After you sit with the feeling for a few minutes, not hours, just a few minutes, does it expand you or contract you? Real guidance, even when it's delivering hard news, leaves you feeling more settled, more clear, more like yourself. Anxiety leaves you more depleted, more scattered, more collapsed inward. Expansion versus contraction. That's not a metaphor. That's an actual body signal you can learn to feel over time. And the more you practice noticing it, the faster you'll be able to read it. The third practice, and this one changed how I work with guidance entirely, is what I call the one-step only rule. Here's the problem with how most people receive guidance after awakening. They want the whole map. They get a feeling, a nudge, a sign, and immediately they need to know what it means for their job, their relationship, their living situation, their purpose, their 5-year plan. They pull on the thread and expect the whole sweater to unravel neatly in their hands. And when it doesn't, when the guidance gives them one step but not the whole staircase, they assume they got it wrong, or they decide they can't trust their intuition, or they go looking for more signs to fill in the blanks the first one left open. But real guidance doesn't work like that. Real guidance is patient. It gives you what you need for now. One step, one door, one small clear thing, not the whole movie. And this is actually how you can distinguish it from anxiety too, because anxiety always needs more information. Anxiety needs to know the ending before it can let you move. It asks, but what happens after that? And what if this leads to that? And are you sure? Because what about? It doesn't stop at one step. It needs the whole map laminated before it lets you leave the house. Guidance says, here, this, now. So when something arrives and it feels true, ask yourself, is there one clear step in this? Not a whole strategy, not a 5-year plan, just one thing that's being shown to me right now. If the answer is yes, if you can name one small, specific, real-world action, that's signal. Move toward it. If the feeling is pulling you toward a vague direction with no landing point, no next step, just a swirling sense of urgency or impending something, pause. That's usually not guidance. That's activation looking for a story. Guidance gives you the next step, not the whole movie. One more thing, and this matters. Not every sign is a message. I know that might land wrong, because part of awakening is this beautiful, disorienting experience of suddenly seeing patterns everywhere. Numbers, synchronicities, symbols, and some of that is real. I'm not dismissing it. But some of it is your nervous system in a heightened state, pattern matching, because that's what activated nervous systems do. They look for meaning because meaning feels safer than randomness. When you're in an anxious, activated state, your brain is doing exactly what it's designed to do: scan the environment for signal. The problem is, it can't always tell the difference between a real signal and a coincidence that your mind just dressed up to look like one. A useful question to ask when you notice what feels like a sign. What is this asking me to do today? Not in general. Not in some future version of your life. Today. If the answer is clear and specific, a next step, a small action, a direction you can actually take, that's usually signal. Something is trying to move through you and it has somewhere to go. If the answer is vague or spirals into something overwhelming or just adds another layer of dread without giving you anything to do with it, that's probably your nervous system, not the universe. The universe tends not to deliver guidance that leaves you more paralyzed than before. Ask what it's asking you to do. If there's no answer or the answer makes you smaller, set it down for now. You can always pick it back up later. Real guidance doesn't expire. Here's what all of this comes back to. You are not broken because you can't always tell the difference. That confusion is part of the territory. It's not a sign you're doing it wrong. It's a sign you're in it, fully, honestly, without the shortcuts most people take. The nervous system that's been through awakening is doing something genuinely hard. It's holding more information, more sensation, more knowing than it was ever trained to hold. And it needs time and practice and patience, not to become less sensitive, but to become more skilled at working with what it's receiving. Discernment isn't a gift some people have and others don't. It's a practice. It builds the same way any skill builds, slowly, through repetition, through noticing what you got right and what you got wrong, through being willing to stay in the question a little longer instead of grabbing the first answer that quiets the discomfort. You're not behind. You're learning a language that most people around you don't even know exists. If something in this landed, let it sit with you for a bit. You don't have to apply all of it today. Pick one, the 90-second pause, the 3-point check, the one-step only rule, the "what is this asking me to do today" question, and just try it once this week. See what you notice, not what you conclude, just what you notice. And if you want to go deeper on this, if you're somewhere in the middle of awakening and you keep finding yourself swinging between "I know something" and "I trust nothing," there's more in this series that might help. Take what's useful, leave what isn't. You're figuring this out, and honestly, that's not a small thing.